Hello, I'm Phil Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and this is my vlog. Normally I teach lessons, but I figured one of the best ways to help teach is by illustrating my own journey. So here goes, right? Something that I forgot to mention in the last episode was that I had a wonderful time with my friend James Lott Jr. on his show called Extra Connections. And it's a show that he does every Monday night. He's on hiatus until the new year, but it was a lot of fun. And I think as you grow in your creative journey, one of the best ways to really continue deep connections is to work with people that you know and enjoy. And James Lott Jr. is certainly one of those people. And it's a lot of fun. Like a lot of times, whenever my friends hang out with me, we always talk creative. And for us, that is a lot of fun. We might play board games and things of that nature, or we might go out to a bar or something along those lines, but we're always catching up. And even though we might not see each other for an extended period of time, the way we have those meaningful connections is through our creativity, and we're always helping each other out. And I think that's something that's overlooked. A lot of people that I know, they're sort of in this mindset where if they help somebody else, then it takes time away from them. And I don't think that has to be the case. A lot of times you have to, structure your time in such a way where it works to your advantage. I think there's plenty of things that, if we're being honest with each other, myself included, that can go by the wayside that aren't really benefiting us. And, we can put that time towards those types of friendships. And I think, there's a give and take. Something has to ultimately go off the table, but what are your priorities? Speaking of priorities, one of the cool things that I heard, this was on a show that I work on called Conversations from the Heart, the Yoga Girl podcast. And the host is Rachel Brathen, who's a yoga instructor in Aruba, and she's very famous, a very successful podcast. And one of the things she was talking about is how to prioritize. And the way she deduced it, which I thought was very insightful, was what came first. And one of the examples that she gave, she's a mom and she has a child, but what came first was her marriage. And she has to focus on the marriage, because if she focuses on the marriage, then there's a trickle-down effect where her child will be nurtured properly. And the reason I bring this up, I don't imagine a lot of you guys have kids. And if you do, great. But if not, I imagine most of you guys are in that boat. And where this kind of fits into is, too many times people are always thinking about the BBO, bigger, better offer. And they leave by the wayside the things that they're supposed to be working on, the things that they got to finish, or the things that they've committed to. And this is a wrong approach, right? When I open up talking about my friendship with James Lott Jr., and one of the reasons I've cultivated that relationship as well as other relationships in my life is because I've always honored commitments. And unless it's something truly that's like once in a lifetime, or something that's tragic and unfortunate, let's say like a family member is ill or whatever the case may be, then you move certain things around. But I see a lot of people, they have something that they're supposed to be doing and there's a shiny stone and they go after that, and that's a false thing. I'm not saying you should never do that, and I'm not saying you can't ever do that, but if it becomes a habit, then people start to take notice, and that's going to break those ties, and it's going to make you unreliable. And ultimately, you're only as good as your word. And so one of the reasons why I think people like working with me is because I always try to honor my word, and I'm always upfront about what I can bring to the table, what I can't. As progress happens, I'm not trying to inundate anybody, but if there's a shift in something, I try to let them know, so that way they're not blindsided. So, take that for what it's worth. Don't always go chasing the bigger, better offer. What else? So, creatively, the main things that I've been working on, in terms of my work, because it's the holiday season, a lot of things have been front loaded. So I've been primarily working on work, a lot of podcasts, so that way they're ready to go out You know, a lot of them, you know, I work on these podcasts and they have to, other people listen to them to make sure everything's good. Not to necessarily say that I mess up or anything, but, you know, to make sure that the ads are where they need to be or whatever else, right? They're just quality control. And because everyone's shutting down for the holiday season, a lot of it got front loaded so that way there's still content going out, but nobody wants to be doing that work over the holidays. So in that sense, I've been doing a lot of that, and now I'm finally excited to return to editing. I've since gotten to about 20 minutes into the movie in terms of editing. Things need to be trimmed down, I know, but as I stated in the last vlog I did, I'm just kind of going forward and, you know, just seeing what the heck kind of mess I have. And I mean that in the best of ways, because I know I can revise something, but I can't revise something if there's nothing to revise. So in that sense, that's the way I'm going about it. And then I continue to work on my book. And one of the things I'm struggling is with this idea that there's projects that I want to work on. So for example, I want to work on my second novel, and I already have the rough outline. And one of the questions I ask myself is, at what point do I begin working on that? And I've been holding myself off on just even outlining, simply because there's so many projects that, you know, require my attention now. Certainly the feature film and the revision on the current book are enough to keep me busy. So, you know, I go back to that idea of like priorities, what came first? Well, all this stuff came first, so I can't move on to the next stuff until I'm finished with this stuff. So what I do is, if ideas do truly come, I write them down so that way I don't forget them, but I don't like spend time doing X, Y, and Z in terms of, you know, actual dedicated work time towards those projects. But I am, you know, that's the balance that I'm trying to find, is like, you know, they always say you should be working on the next thing, and, you know, I'm trying to find that balance of when exactly that is. And once, I don't know, once certainly the movie's in a far better place, and then I think that time might come, but for now I've been holding off on it. Anyway, those are the things that have been on my mind as of late. Let me know if you relate, let me know if you have any questions, and if there's anything you want me to particularly talk about in the future, happy to do so. Just comment or hit me up on social media at Svitek. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.